Welcome to Armory Analysis. This is the obligatory "This is just my opinion" segment, so if you've seen this before, feel free to skip to this timestamp. These videos are to eventually cover everything in the Warframe arsenal, and as you can imagine, I don't have a steel path build with every weapon in the game, though by the end of this I probably will. I don't follow the meta of Warframe as I find some of the wackier weapons to be the most fun. Hell, my favorite secondary is actually the Occucore. I may not have the best build sometimes with weapons, but they work well enough, and are usually my best attempt at making them good. Last thing of note, we will be talking about Rivens, however they will not be the deciding factor as to whether they're good or not, as they are not that easy to obtain. That and I don't feel comfortable rating something that I don't have. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. May 30th, 2024. Today we'll be talking about the Exergis. This thing surprised the hell out of me when I first got it. Let's get right into it. Alright, so the Exergis doesn't have any variants, but it doesn't really need them. Though I would not complain if they announced a Tenet Exergis, that'd be fucking sweet. Anyways, to get this thing, you just buy the blueprint for 20,000 credits from the market, and requires 2 Argon, 2 repeller systems, so I hope you like doing little duck stuff, a little bit of Oxium, and 8,000 salvage. By and large, not hard to craft. The only thing that's really going to give you the headache is probably the repeller systems. So the stats on the Exergis are interesting when you look at them, but they're actually pretty damn good. 3.33 fire rate, multi-shot of 3, magazine capacity of 1, which really makes me question that fire rate, medium accuracy, trigger semi, again with the magazine capacity of 1, punch through of 0.5, and fall off of 30 to 60. As well as far as the damage goes, because I know that's what most people are looking at here, only 8% critical chance, and only 1.4 times crit multiplier, so not a lot you can do as far as crit goes on this thing. However, oddly enough, I do tend to get crits on this somewhat frequently, despite the minimal crit chance on it, and I think that's just because of the fact that it's, you know, multi-shot, especially because I always go high multi-shot on this thing. It does have 36% status though, and it's pretty easy to get it to 100% status, and that's always a fun on shotguns. 20 impact, 120 puncture, 260 slash, hell yeah, 140 radiation, and grand total between all that is 1600 damage. So yeah, it's pretty damn good. I will say the fact that it's weighted in slash is quite nice as well. So how about my builds? Well, realistically I only have one now. I had 2 for a while because of Taviri. I had one where I had primarily ice damage on it because there were fewer decrees at the time. I made that pretty early on because I kept getting the Exergis. It was one of the weapons that just kept showing up, and I'm not sure why. Law of truly large numbers for you, I guess. But anyways, mine's set up with radiation and viral. Granted, the radiation is already on there. And of course, I threw on Sweeping Serration for the extra slash damage, which 1 makes it more likely to proc, and 2 makes it do a fuckload of damage when it does proc. With Galvanized Savvy and Galvanized Hell, it's doing pretty good with that. I also have Vigilante Armaments to get even more multi-shot out of it. Mine sits at 8.1 before Galvanized Hell goes crazy. The Savvy with the 40% direct damage per status is always really nice, especially considering it has full IPS. So that does help quite a lot. With having 5 statuses on this thing and 108% status chance, it's a lot of fun. But when it does proc slash, it does hit pretty nice, especially with that little bit of viral. Granted, it's not like max viral that you can get on it. Granted, it's possible, but it's not that likely with this. By the time I get that, usually the thing I'm shooting at's already dead, which is a good problem to have if you ask me. Of course, I have prime shotgun ammo mutation on this because it does run through its ammo. It's not like crazy fast or anything like that, but it does run through its ammo. And 32,000 damage total on mine. Almost 33,000. Either way, I should go ahead and demonstrate this. As you can see, while I concede it's probably not the best build, I would argue that it's definitely not. As always, I'm not the best at building these fucking things, but I build well enough that it does well for me. But as you can see, it does hit pretty good. And I'm sure you noticed a few of those crits in there. The thing that gets me is the mid crits. Like, the regular crits, I know it's because it's a lot of bullets, but the mid crits are what get me. Are they, like, somebody in the comments please explain that to me, if you're familiar with that. I am genuinely curious and I'm willing to learn. Editing scenario on here. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get a clip of this in time, but I was able to. So, one of the things I always found funny about guns like the Exergis and the Exergis, for example, is the fact that whenever you get the relic boost that gives you unlimited ammo in your primaries, they kind of go nuts. And that's what's going on here, is I got that boost with the Exergis. So as far as Rivens go for this thing, well, it sits at a 3 out of 5 disposition, which isn't terrible, but it isn't great either. Normally I wouldn't want to screw the Riven for a weapon that's a 3 out of 5 that I don't, is not one of my favorites. But I will say in the case of this one, I wouldn't mind getting one, because what I'd want to roll it into is, as funny as it is to say this, reload speed and multi-shot, and as far as the other status, or the other stat line goes, it could realistically be whatever as long as it's not a status that fucks up my build. But hell, even if it's just those two, that's fine too. And the reason for that is I want to be able to take Prime Tactical Bump off and have a little bit of extra multi-shot along with it, because multi-shot. As far as the reload speed goes, partially so I could take Primary Merciless off if possible, and replace it with Shotgun Vendetta to have even more multi-shot so I can apply even more statuses. I feel like that would be an absolute joy to use. I love applying statuses to things because it's well, one, it's satisfying as all hell, but two, because if you apply enough of them, the enemy that you hit with it just kind of freaks out, which is always pretty great. I don't necessarily need a Riven for this, probably won't go out of my way to look for one, but if I happen to crack one out of a Shotgun Riven that I open, I'm going to be pretty happy. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. I don't feel you need one, but could come in handy if you come across one. So closing thoughts. Well, it's not my favorite, but it is really good. Now, the reason why it's not my favorite is because it's not exactly a fair competition when it comes to shotguns, because you have so many goddamn amazing shotguns in this game as far as like design goes. You have the Tenet Arc Plasma, which shoots fucking TV screens at your enemies. You have the Astilla Prime, which shoots exploding glass balls, which is fucking cool. You have the Cedo, which throws a glaive down a hallway that applies random statuses to things. Like, it is a hard-fought battle to become one of my favorite shotguns, and I feel like that goes for a lot of people in this game, truth be told. But it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's actually quite the opposite. I'd say it's pretty damn good. I recommend this to newer players all the time, that and the Cedo, of course, but it does pretty nice, and I have yet to find somebody who is actually upset that I had them get this thing. But, yeah, no. I like this thing, and that is that. Either way, let's go ahead and spin that wheel. Thank you all for watching, and have a great day.